When officers arrived, they made contact with the male who had a face mask on. That male was asked to remove his face mask, and officers immediately recognized him as a suspect in the New York City shooting.
They got him. You just heard from investigators in Altoona, Pennsylvania, talking about how they found the person of interest, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He was found eating in a McDonald's, and a customer thought he looked like the man the country was on alert to find. That customer told the McDonald's manager. That manager called 911, and you heard what they said happened next. He pulled down his mask. He gave the police a fake ID, and that begins a day of learning of who is Luigi Mangione and what are the clues we have now as to why he may have killed Brian Thompson. Lou Raguse has been covering this case for 6 days for us on KARE 11. So much to cover here. Let's start about, he starts to admit that he is somebody that they're looking for to those investigators in the McDonald's, Lou?
Yeah, so when police asked him to pull down his mask and they recognized him, the officer said that he then asked him, have you been to New York City lately? And Mangione at that point started physically shaking, like not just looking nervous, but physically shaking. And that's when they knew for sure they had who they've been looking for. And when they took him into arrest, they found a gun and a silencer that matched the description of what was used in the shooting in New York City. And the way it's described in the court papers is that it was 3D printed, both the silencer and the firearm, which would make it untraceable, but he had it on him still when he was arrested. So now police are in the process of comparing all that evidence to the crime in New York City.
As we're just seeing, we're of a New Jersey license. That's the fake ID that he used in New York to go into the hostel. One piece of evidence that I think has most people curious is it is said that the suspect, Luigi, had in his bag a manifesto, 3 pages of notes. Do we know at all if those say what his motive was?
We don't. I can tell you what's being reported by reporters with NBC is that it essentially gave anti-corporate America diatribes and how the victim had it coming, so to speak. More of that is more likely to come out when the charges are actually filed in New York City. Right now, he's only charged in Pennsylvania for the weapons charges and the fake ID charges. But they seem to think that he acted alone. He was not a hitman. He was acting alone, and it was because of nothing personal against Brian Thompson except for the fact that he represented corporate America to him. There have been some clues, Jana, that we've been going over this afternoon. On his social media, he had a picture of an X-ray of a back with obviously some sort of surgery implant done on the back. And there has been some reporting that he himself, Luigi Mangione, had a back surgery that perhaps did not go well. And so that's part of the overall motive that we'll be looking forward to learning more about tomorrow.
Yeah, that's where this case gets really interesting. You know, where does that fit into it? What role did health care or lack of health care play in his life? We do know that he went to a very expensive private all-boys school, graduated valedictorian. He has 2 degrees from Penn, Ivy League in computer science. He has a lot of interesting parts of his background, that he is a very educated individual. Anything about that, you know, linking to this murder or anything?
He seems to be somebody who had a lot to lose, also coming from a well-to-do, successful family in Maryland. One thing that I'll note, though, is that he, according to his online LinkedIn resumes, that he had, you know, seemingly very successful jobs. However, the BBC contacted the place where he was working, and he had not worked there since 2023. So I think that we have about a year or more span of time that we have no idea what this suspect's life was like, and that will be a huge thing for us to find out tomorrow, and what led up to him going to New York allegedly in carrying out this crime.
Yeah, people saying similar things from his history. Thanks so much, Lou. A lot probably to report tomorrow when we learn more from New York City. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.